Don't use present tense when you're supposed to use past tense, and then maintain the tense whichever you're using. You are coming from the past. Hi loves, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Nicole. I'm Nicole Avin. I'm an international student based in the UK. I film about faith, I film about relocation, I film about lifestyle here in the UK. So in today's video, I'll be telling you how to write a good personal statement. I'll be talking from my experience because, like you know, I've applied to a lot of schools and I gained a lot of admissions. I applied to over 24 schools in the UK and I gained over 17 admissions. I'll be speaking to you from experience how I was able to get this admission and how you can actually get yours, because you know personal statement has a long way to go in your application. It is the primary thing, because even if you finish with a first class and then you don't have a good personal statement, like it is rubbish. So your personal statement has to top notch. It has to be very, very nice and attractive. So I'll be taking you on the steps you should actually look out for, and then apply these in your application. Apply this when you want to write your personal statement, and then you get a positive response. So anytime I'm looking at my phone, because I have them written out on my phone so that I don't get to miss out any important points. So like you know that personal statements is a brief personal summary about yourself, you know, writing into the school, letting them know about you and what you're capable of doing and what you plan to do with the course you want to study. It has to be detailed, you know, explaining to them in full. And when I'm talking about detail, I'm not talking about you writing 5 to 6 pages explaining yourself, that personal statement. No, because the personal statement has to be attractive. Your personal statement must not be too long, because when I as a lecturer is reading 4 to 5 pages of personal, you tend to get bored, right? You don't want the university to get bored of reading your personal statements. Do you understand? So you have a lot of things to do, and then I'll be taking you through the things you should do. So first of all, you have to start the personal statement with a very catchy opening. Opening sentence must attract the reader. When you are writing a personal statement, you have to start with something catchy that will draw the attention of the reader, and the reader wants to know more about you. You don't just start your personal statement by just dulling the moment. You have to do something that is very, very interesting. You could just, you know, start by saying, starting from your history, you know, something you're talking about your history to talk about your present. Do you understand? So your introduction must be very, very catchy. It's just like writing normal essay that has the introduction, the body, and the conclusion, right? So I would advise you, if you're writing a personal statement, your personal statement should not be more than 5 paragraphs, right? You don't have to make it lengthy. You don't have to write 3 to 4 pages. What matters is that you're writing the main thing and not just writing story, because they're not just interested in your story, but they want to link how your past is able to connect with your present and how your present is able to connect with your future. So you don't just want to write story and then leave them confused. So starting from your introduction, it has to be very, very catchy and interesting, and then the reader wants to know more about you. Not that the reader starts on the beginning and then the reader is already bored. The reader must, you know, be interested in knowing more about you. So also you have to put the more important information at the beginning of your personal statements. Like you have to be very, very brief. It's just like saying you're going for an interview and then you're asked to talk about yourself, and then your interviewer is asking you to introduce yourself. You don't just say my name is Nicole and then you keep quiet. You have to like briefly explain who you are, what you do, and then in just 5 seconds, in just 10 seconds, you have said a lot of things, and then the employer is so much interested and wants to ask you more questions, right? So you have to put your important information at the beginning, because things like that are what attracts your reader. So you have to talk about you have to talk about what you can offer, you have to talk about what actually attracted you to the course. So I would advise that your first paragraph is about your introduction, talking about your experience, talking about where you're coming from, and talking about why you want to do the course. Like you basically introducing yourself, telling us who you are, and then telling us what you have to offer, right? I feel what you have to offer shouldn't come in the first paragraph, but when you write where you're coming from and then what you've done, and linking into linking into what you're presently doing, you will see people with a lot of years of experience. Probably they studied English like I did in my undergrad, studied English, and then they want to study nursing for their masters. It is actually very much possible, because in your personal statement has to like let us know why you are going for nursing. And then imagine someone who studied English in their undergrad but all their life had experience in nursing, works in the hospital and all, so and you're able to link your experience to what you've done. That can make you have a degree in nursing even though you had no undergrad in it, but because your experience had a lot to do with nursing and anything that has to do with the hospital. So you have to talk about your experience, like I said. You have to talk about your skills, how it relates to what you want to study, right? You have to have like a connection in what you have experienced in and how it will be helpful to what you want to study. Because remember that admission process is always very, very competitive, and they only give it to people that know that, oh, they really know what they are doing, and people can actually do well in that field. So you have to connect your experience to what you want to do with the course. You don't just write, oh, I've done this, and then you're not telling us how that resonates with what you want to do at the moment, and how you plan on integrating what you have achieved back in your home country, or what you plan to do with the course in the future. So in the first paragraph, like I said this will contain your introduction and then what you have done. And then in the second paragraph, you can go ahead to talk about your experiences and what made you choose the course, and how you connect the experience you had to the current course you want to study, right? So in the next paragraph, you should talk about why you chose the course, and why you chose the school, and why you chose the UK. You have to like tell us why you chose the school. That's why you have to research about the school where you're coming to. You could just write like 1 or 2 sentences about the school, why you chose the school. So after you've introduced yourself and you've related, you've connected your past experience to your current experience, now you're telling us about the school and like how the university is one of the best schools to actually study that course. In your last paragraph, you have to state your future goals, what you plan to do with the course in the future. Like you have to state it, what you plan to do with the course, what you see yourself doing in 5 years time with the course. They want to know everything about you. They want you to summarize everything, where you're coming from, where you are to where you are going. You don't just want to study a course without having it at the back of your mind that, oh, this is what I want to do with the course. Even though at some point you may not want to do that, but then you have to package yourself well so that these people will see that, oh, you're serious, and then you know what you're doing. You're not just coming to the UK to just have the degree, where you plan to use it, to make use of it after your studies. I'll tell you the structures you should adopt when you're writing a personal statement. The first thing you should adopt is use an active voice. Use an active voice when you are writing your essay, when you're writing your personal statements. You have to be active. You don't just write anyhow, right? You have to make the reader alive. You have to make the reader carried along in whatever you are writing. So the second one is keep sentences brief and paragraphs short. Your sentences don't have to be very, very long. You know what makes up a paragraph is like 4 to 5 sentences. When you are writing 10 to 12 sentences in a paragraph, that is too long. Do you understand? So you have to keep your sentences short, and then you have to keep your paragraphs brief as well. You don't have to write a lot, but what you are writing has to encompass all that it needs to have. So you have to keep it very, very short and brief, because you're not the only prospective student the reader is trying to attend to at that point. The reader might probably have like 20 to 25 students' personal statements to read, but you cannot just allow the reader to just focus on your own and be reading your personal statements for about 1 hour, 2 hours. No. So you have to make it very, very brief. Whatever you're writing, make it brief and then go straight to the point. There's no point beating around the bush, but just package yourself well and then go straight to the point. Another thing you should take note of is ensure correct grammar and punctuation. You have to make sure your grammar is correct. Like whatever you are saying, make sure it is correct, and punctuation marks, because the people you are actually applying to, they are native speakers of the language, of English language. So you don't want to be found writing rubbish. You don't want to be found writing, having grammatical blunder. So you have to make sure your grammars are correct. When you're supposed to make use of tenses, past tense, don't make use of present tense. When you're supposed to make use of past tense, don't make use of past tense when you're supposed to make use of present tense. And then your vocab, if you don't necessarily have to go and bring big grammar and then start writing. That's which you understand. That's simple English which you know how to write it well, and you don't just have to make use of words that you don't even know the meaning, or maybe the context at which you're using the word is not relevant. So you have to make sure you make use of your punctuation marks when necessary. When you're supposed to make use of your question mark, when you're supposed to make of your full stop, make sure you do that, because you're taking notes of things like that. But when a reader is reading and then the reader says, oh, this person did put comma here, this person did put full stop here, there's no punctuation mark in this, the reader gets bored and just abandons your personal statement, and I know you don't want that, right? So you have to be very, very conscious of where you ought to use your punctuation mark and make use of correct grammar, right? So another way to also have an excellent personal statement is making a draft. First personal statement you write does not have to be the best personal statement. You have to draft it, when you sleep or when you're thinking about something, you write it down, you put it down, you just put everything together, you put your thoughts together, you put everything you have, you put them down, you keep drafting them out, and then you have to take your time. You don't have to be in a hurry to write your personal statement. Nobody's rushing you or anything. That's why it's always very good when you start early. You probably plan to apply to universities in November. You can start your personal statement from September. Keep writing it, keep adding to this. But when you just want to do it within a day or 2 days, it gets to choke you up, and then you tend to just write it anyhow, and you won't get the results that you want. So take your time to write your personal statement. You're not in a hurry, nobody's rushing you, and then just make sure you take your time and then do it well. Another thing you should consider is find the perfect word and expression. Find the perfect word. Like I said, you don't have to use big grammars because you are writing a personal statement. Find the best word that suits the situation. Find the words that suit what you're trying to write, and then express yourself well. This is your personal statement. This is about you, not anybody else. Write it and let the reader see through you. Let the reader read it and then actually relate what you're actually writing. Not that the reader reads it and then doesn't see how what you are written relates to you, because when the reader is reading, they can actually see through your eyes. So you have to write your personal statement and then they see through your eyes and they relate and they know what exactly you are passing across without having to know you. Your personal statement should tell who you are even without the reader knowing you personally. You have to find the perfect opening. Remember, it is a draft. You have written so many things, and you have to extract a sentence that you know that, yes, when I start with this will catch the attention of the reader, and then it will make the reader interested and so eager and anticipate to know more about you, because this is the only platform at which the reader gets to know you through your writing. So when you write, you want the reader to know and see through your eyes, and then know that this is this person even without meeting this person. So you have to make it your own work, your voice, and your idea, right? So this is about you, your personal statement. That's why it is personal, about me. So you have to make it your own work and nobody else's work. The idea and the voice, let the reader see through you. I mentioned that earlier. You have to be honest. Anything you're writing, be honest. You don't have to lie because you're writing a personal statement and start saying things you've never done, because you could even have an interview, or when you say you've done this, you can do this, and then you were given admission to the course, and then you have problem in classes and all of that. So you have to be honest. You have to be honest with whatever you're saying, that, oh, this is who I am. I don't have to lie about it. Also in your CV, how you have to be honest, because when you're actually called for an interview, what you've never done, it will be so hard for you to say it because you've never done it, and then maybe you didn't cram it or something. So you have to be honest with whatever you're writing. And the last but not the least is get someone to proofread it for you. You cannot just write a personal statement and then that's all for you. No, you have to have someone who would read it and then help you correct the mistakes you have made. Because most times when you write something, you tend to just see it all yourself, oh, I've written it is the best. But no, somebody else's will get to find out what you have written which is wrong and correct it. Do you understand? So get someone to read it for you. You could use 2 persons, you could make them 3, anybody. Just send it to them, let them help you proofread it, let them correct when necessary, and then let them just do all that needs to be done for you. So to summarize all that I've been saying, your first paragraph has to contain your experience, your background, your past, and then you are relating it to the course which you want to study. Your second paragraph has to talk about the course you want to study, how it resonates with you, and the third paragraph has to talk about why you chose the university, why you chose the country. So the last paragraph has to talk about your career goals, what you plan to do with the course you want to study, where you see yourself in years to come, and how it would give back to the society, because whatever you are doing has to give back to your society. And always remember to refer back to your own country, that whatever you get from the course, you plan to integrate it in your own country. You have to make sure your personal statement is detailed and not too long. Nobody wants to spend so much time reading just one personal statement. So you have to make it brief. You have to make your sentences simple. You have to make sure you make use of the right punctuation, grammar, and tenses. So we have come to the end of this video. I hope this video was very, very helpful to you guys. If you want me to read a personal statement that got me over 17 admissions, please let me know in the comment section. I will definitely read out my personal statement out to you guys, so that you could actually pick out 1 or 2 things from my personal statement and then make use of it in your personal statements. Please do well to share this video with your family and friends. Do well to like it. Do well to comment in the comment section. And please do not forget to subscribe to my channel till I come your way again. Please stay blessed, and I love you. I will see you in the next video. Bye.